I say it's fraud. It's fraud. Something going on hanky-panky.
For nearly 4 years, Channel 2 Action News has been investigating local con artists taking over metro area houses. They started with foreclosures, but now we've caught them targeting empty houses with real owners, then renting those houses to other people. Channel 2's investigative reporter Jody Fleischer is here now with how they keep getting away with it and the new action that could protect every Georgia homeowner. Jody.
Jovita, these guys just keep slipping through the law enforcement net. They get arrested, but are right back out there stealing more houses. It's as easy as filing one piece of paper at the county courthouse. Now it's happened to an elderly woman who called us for help, and she could be the one to stop them for good.
Of all people, I'm 74 years old. Why would somebody steal a house? Can't believe that.
Fannie McDaniel bought this Riverdale home as an investment property. Then last fall, she didn't get her tax bill and called Clayton County.
She said, you don't even own the house anymore. So I said, how could that be? Yes, I had the mortgage, been up to date and everything.
But the county's property record now lists JMM Assets and Acquisitions as the owner. It shows this document filed in April saying Fannie signed the property over to JMM in 2009.
I had already said, I know it's somebody forged my signature, and when I see it, this doesn't look anything like mine.
A Channel 2 Action News investigation found 26 houses taken over by the same group under several names. The one thing every deed had in common, the notary stamp of Verod Stewart, a name we recognized.
Mr. Stewart, do you want to tell us why you're doing this?
Last May, we caught up with Stewart outside the DeKalb County Courthouse, where 14 of those bogus deeds were filed.
I feel threatened by your presence.
Sir, we're on public property. I'm just asking you questions. Why would you feel threatened by me?
I feel threatened by your presence, ma'am. I'm warning you ahead of time. I feel threatened by your presence.
At the time, Stewart and his cohorts had taken over this $1 million foreclosure in Lithonia, keeping the new buyers from moving in. He and Jermaine Gibson got arrested. It wasn't Gibson's first.
I just went to court for that and got put on that. No, sir.
In 2010, it took this to get Gibson out of another Lithonia home after a Channel 2 investigation uncovered 18 fake deeds filed for properties in 8 counties. But one suspect convinced a jury that taking over bank-owned homes was really no big deal.
The indictment says they are victims. Where are these victims?
The prosecutor was stunned
Not guilty.
when the jury found the men not guilty. Within months, they were right back at it.
I blame the law. I don't blame those juries.
We showed the latest group of bogus deeds to legislators.
Well, it's just plain wrong, and let's be quite blunt about it. These folks are con artists.
This time, the con goes even further. We found they're renting out at least 3 of the homes to families.
This is awful. This is awful. I'm not believing this right now.
Ombre Johnson lives in this home on Misty Lake Road in Ellenwood. It's really owned by a bank, but her lease says JMM Assets, signed by none other than Verod Stewart.
Do you pay him rent?
Absolutely, every month. And I can't be put out. I have a real home. You know what I mean? Like, with real children. You know, I worked too hard for this.
If the law isn't strong enough to go after these guys, then we need to change the law. I think it's time for us to take a serious look at it and impose some serious penalties.
But Fannie isn't waiting around.
I'm here to file a police report.
Clayton County Police opened an investigation right away.
That obviously we want to make sure your property is rightfully restored to your ownership.
The FBI and DeKalb Police are also joining forces.
If you're sitting in one of those homes that don't belong to you and you're operating in this way, you are going to get arrested.
Fannie says it can't happen fast enough.
They need to be prosecuted to the fullest.
We couldn't find Verod Stewart in person this time. After all, he is linked to dozens of addresses. I did reach him by phone, though. He told me he thought his companies did own all of those houses. And he said he's never received any money from those renters.
Jody, you know, this is amazing how this continues. What's going to happen now? Is there any way to put a stop to all of this?
Well, those legislators are working on that. Just this week, they introduced a new bill making it a felony to file paperwork on a property you don't have rights to. And of course, the criminal investigation is already in the works, too.
So what can we do as citizens to protect ourselves from these kinds of people?
Well, every metro area county has a website for property records. You can go online and search using your name or address and make sure your house is still yours. In some other states, there are companies that alert a homeowner when a new deed is filed, but we did not find any Georgia counties doing that yet.
We look forward to more on this, Jody.
A Channel 2 Action News investigation is getting results starting today. DeKalb County homeowners have new protection from thieves who steal houses. It's a new alert system, the first of its kind in Georgia. Channel 2's investigative reporter Jody Fleischer is here with why this is so important. Jody?
Jovita, we first began exposing these schemes nearly 4 years ago. Con artists filing bogus deeds to take over homes. During our investigation, we found other states are using alert systems, so we asked clerks in our area about it. One jumped right into action and made it a reality.
It's a huge problem, and it costs taxpayers.
DeKalb County Clerk of Court Deborah DeBerry watches every day as fraudsters walk up to her real estate counter and, using one piece of paper, steal other people's homes.
I do think it's crazy. So hopefully this fraud registry will at least alert someone immediately that, okay, someone came in and filed something on their property.
The new system will run through her website. DeKalb homeowners can sign up for free and get an email alert or text message anytime something's filed on their property. If it's fraud, they can call police right away.
If they can protect us, that would be a good thing.
DeKalb homeowner Gary Edelman lives right around the block from this Decatur home, stolen using paperwork in 2011. DeKalb has been at the center of every Channel 2 investigation into house stealing, from this Lithonia raid in 2010 to this one just last May.
It's shocking, but I'm not surprised given everybody's internet savvy.
Georgia law does not make you prove rights to a property before filing a deed. DeBerry says her clerks ask every filer for ID, so there's a record in case it's disputed later. Those disputes can be expensive and time-consuming. Thieves often target foreclosures or other empty houses prime for squatters. The new system should catch them sooner.
We think this is just a very small way that we could help. And hopefully the rest of Georgia will do the same, every county.
Gary says he'll sign up right away.
When you have a problem in your community and elected officials can sit down like adults and try to help solve the problem, that's what we want government for, and we pay quite a bit in taxes, so it's a good thing, and I hope it works out.
The DeKalb clerk plans to share her new system with other court clerks around the state. She was able to use her current vendor to keep costs minimal. Now, you can find the link to the new system on our website at WSB-TV.com. Craig?
Today, Georgia's Senate passed a bill to make house stealing a felony after a Channel 2 Action News investigation exposed holes in the existing law. Last month, we showed you how a group used fake deeds to take over foreclosed homes to rent them out for profit. Some of the same men were arrested after a Channel 2 Action News investigation caught them living in this stolen mansion last May. Now, in 2012, a jury acquitted 3 men because the complex racketeering statute did not specifically address this crime.
We're just really happy to try to solve this problem. It's become a bigger and bigger problem, especially in metro Atlanta, of people that don't have title to property. Usually it's vacant properties, just moving in, taking over.
The bill already passed the Georgia House and is now waiting for the governor's signature.
A Channel 2 Action News investigation got some major results today. Georgia's governor signed a new law making house stealing a felony. And Channel 2 investigative reporter Jody Fleischer first exposed this crime 4 years ago. Jody's with us live in our newsroom with how the new law could finally put a stop to this fraud.
Justin, when we first exposed this practice in 2010, most Georgians had never heard of house stealing. Many police officers didn't even understand it. Now, dozens of stories later, we exposed holes in the existing law and got the attention of several legislators who set out to fix it. Now, Governor Nathan Deal even invited us to stand by his side as he signed the bill, which was supported by prosecutors, court clerks, and homeowners. In February, we showed you how a group used fake deeds to take over foreclosed homes to rent them out for profit. Some of the same men were arrested after a Channel 2 investigation caught them living in another stolen mansion last May. Now, in 2012, a jury acquitted 3 men because the complex racketeering statute didn't specifically address this crime.
A misdemeanor forgery was no deterrent at all, and to be, when you steal occupancy of a $300,000, $400,000 home, that should be a felony, and 1 to 20 with a $10,000 fine is, I think, appropriate for that action.
The new law has also been supported by the banking industry since foreclosures and other empty homes have been a favorite target for the fraudsters, who often break in and live inside those homes. Now, legislators hope by making the filing, signing, and witnessing of false deeds a felony, criminals might stop trying it, or at least be easier to convict. It takes effect July 1st. Live in the newsroom, Jody Fleischer, Channel 2 Action News.
And Jody, what a day for you as the governor called you up, right? And you got to stand right there, and you got a souvenir too?
We did. It was quite a thrill, Justin, and he even gave us the pen he used to sign the bill.
How about that? Something I know you're going to keep, Jody. We
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Wonderful.
They need to be prosecuted to the fullest.
An elderly woman is finally getting her wish after a Channel 2 Action News investigation exposed an elaborate house stealing ring. A Clayton County grand jury today filed indictments against 8 people. They're all accused of racketeering and identity fraud. Earlier this year, we caught the group operating in 4 metro counties. Channel 2's investigative reporter Jody Fleischer is here now with the scheme she first uncovered and the impact it's having across the state. Jody?
Jovita, when we first started digging into this 4 years ago, the con artists were mainly targeting bank-owned homes. Then they expanded and began signing the names of real homeowners on bogus deeds. And now a Clayton County grand jury is trying to put a stop to it.
Wow! I got somebody to steal a house for me.
At 75 years old, Fannie McDaniel has seen a lot, but she never imagined she'd see her own name in someone else's handwriting on a deed to her investment home in Riverdale.
I had the mortgage, been up to date and everything.
When she didn't get her 2013 tax bill, she called Clayton County to ask why.
She says, you don't even own the house anymore. So I said, how could that be?
A company called JMM Assets and Acquisitions stole it by filing one piece of paper saying Fannie signed the property over to them. A Channel 2 investigation found 27 houses taken over by the same group under several names. In some cases, we even found renters living inside.
I'm not believing this right now.
In January, Ombre Johnson showed us her lease for this home in Ellenwood. The rental agreement says JMM Assets and Acquisitions. It's signed by a man named Verod Stewart.
Do you pay him rent? Absolutely, every month.
Stewart notarized every one of the 27 bogus deeds. Prosecutors call him the ringleader.
The problem is that he's hurting people and he just doesn't get it. He's just a paper bully.
With so many houses, he's tough to track down.
Mr. Stewart, do you want to tell us why you're doing this?
When we first met him in 2013, his friend Jermaine Gibson had just taught him how to take over this $1 million home in Lithonia.
I feel threatened by your presence.
Sir, we're on public property. I'm just asking you questions. Why would you feel threatened by me?
I feel threatened by your presence.
Atlanta police arrested Stewart earlier this year for burglary and trespassing, just one day after we exposed his latest batch of properties. When he finally posted bond, DeKalb County charged him with forgery. But now Clayton County prosecutors are rolling all of those charges from all 4 counties into one big case.
Mortgage fraud, burglary, theft by taken, false statements.
Stewart and 7 of his friends are charged with racketeering and identity fraud.
They're bringing more people into it, and they're affecting more and more of our citizenry. They're getting bolder.
Prosecutors say even when the group targets bank-owned homes, it ties up sales, affects property values, and whole neighborhoods suffer.
And the indictment says they are victims. Where are these victims?
In 2012, a DeKalb jury fell for it and found some of the same men not guilty. Clayton County's district attorney brought in the same special prosecutor to handle the new case.
The chance to hold them accountable and do right by, like Mrs. McDaniel and some of the other victims, it's really rewarding.
They say this time the Clayton County jury should have no trouble understanding the impact.
It's a huge difference because it's an actually flesh and bones human being that is hurting because of the actions of these defendants.
And Fannie says she's ready for the fight.
They need to be prosecuted to the fullest.
Along with the new indictment, the arrest warrants are also in the works for 8 defendants. Now, many of them signed their name on phony deeds or leases. Some even appeared in court trying to convince judges not to evict them from those houses.
And Jody, what about the people who were living in these houses? Either they were renters, they thought they were renters. Did any of them get into trouble?
Well, prosecutors had their suspicions about that, and they were looking into whether some of the renters were in on this scheme. But because none of them could show receipts or cancel checks indicating they paid any money to live there at all. But prosecutors would have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. So instead, they've decided to try to use them as witnesses.
All right, Jody, thank you. And here are more details on the impact of our investigation. In February, DeKalb County's clerk of court announced a new fraud alert registry to protect homeowners, since that's where most of the properties were stolen. In May, the governor signed a new law making house stealing a felony. He even invited Jody to stand next to him as he signed the bill. And while the group indicted today was part of the reason for this new law, the 8 suspects could not be charged under it because the law now only applies to fake deeds signed after it was enacted. Be sure to go to our Facebook page for a link to investigative reporter Jody Fleischer's extensive investigations into house stealing. That's at facebook.com/WSB-TV.